My first question to all the panelists. Recently, there have been some encouraging signs in the housing market. In fact, home prices have been increasing on a month-to-month basis. Do you believe the recent price increases can be attributed to the first-time tax credit, Mr. Jacob? Or if you believe that there are some other factors that should be factored in?
I think that has somewhat of a factor in it. I don't think it's the factor. I think what it's giving an opportunity to young people, and I hire a lot of young people out of school, to have an opportunity to go and buy a home. And we're also looking at, in terms of what we're doing in Tampa, the urban environment where it's more high-density urban living, and those kinds of people are getting an opportunity to be in that environment as a first-time buyer with a condominium or a townhouse in an urban environment. So I think it's spurring it on along with other factors, but I think it's generating some optimism, which I think is very important.
Mr. Robson.
I don't think it's any coincidence that the timing of home sales and stabilization of home prices occurred at the same time that the $8,000 tax credit came into being. I think it's a primary driver. And actually, if you look at some of the recent data, maybe hadn't been published yet for September and that sort of thing, you're actually going to see leveling off of sales because, like other panelists have said, you can't sign a contract today and take advantage of the $8,000 tax credit. The housing recovery is very, very fragile, and I'm afraid without the $8,000 tax credit, we could slip back very quickly.
Mr. Pryor.
I'm not familiar with the statistic and its genesis, so I can only relate my personal experience in response to your question, and that is that I don't see the price increasing going on. This is a very narrow range of in our marketplace, it's a very narrow range of stimulus that has taken place, and we haven't really seen it move throughout the column as it needs to because of credit availability in the upper ends of the market. I do think that coupled with the opportunity to increase the conforming loan limits, it's a very important step to increase and extend the tax credit and provide that credit availability through Fannie and Freddie to all home buyers.
To come forward.
The tax credit, when the tax credit went into effect, we saw immediate increase in activity. It was night and day. That was the difference. And now we see it turned off. As far as prices are concerned, what we didn't see was continuing declining of prices. Had there not been that tax credit put in place, I don't know where we would be. Prices still would be constantly falling. So,
Ms. Bond.
I called numerous of our contractors that we build for, builders, national builders, as well as the local builders that we build for. And in the communities that we have that are the first-time home builder communities, we have seen a great increase in starts in those communities since the tax credit was started. I had several of them call me because I had asked for statistics or for numbers, and they said that these were communities that we were building that had really kind of leveled off. There wasn't a lot of activity, and they actually see movement in these. We have a lot more starts in those first-time homebuyer communities.
Mr. Canfora, the percentage of home loans in foreclosure has been rising rapidly since 2006. How do foreclosed properties affect a local real estate market, and have the recent measures taken by the administration helped slow foreclosure rates?
yeah, I feel they have. Whenever you have foreclosures, and short sales in any geographical area, it does have a negative impact on house prices. People look to buy the cheapest possible house they can get. But here again, the tax credit, without the tax credit being in place, I think it would have been worse. I really do, and we really need to see it brought back and extended to 2010.
Ms. Bone, We have conducted a lot of hearings here since we have been dealing with the Recovery Act when we were drafting it regarding the tightening of credit and the lack of access to credit for small businesses. And while so many industries have been faced with a credit crunch, the real estate sector particularly has been hit hard. Has your business found it difficult to obtain credit?
We haven't had a need to obtain credit. We've been positioned very well, so and had planned for, and have worked through this downturn so far. But I know firsthand that I've had numerous jobs that we have contracted for, been ready to start, and the credit for the jobs, the financing for the jobs has fallen out. To the point, Madam Chairman, where we had moved equipment to a job site and were informed that it wasn't going to start.
Have any of the witnesses would like to comment on the question about obtaining credit in your industry?
Happy to. It's virtually non-existent as far as construction loans are concerned. And reality is, in late 2007, coming into this downturn, the regulators implemented the commercial real estate concentration guidelines. That has exacerbated the ability to borrow money at this point when we're trying to recover. We have builders that are ready to build, and they can't get financing. They have development loans. They've sold all their inventory, but they can't replace the inventory because they can't get a construction loan to replace the inventory they've already sold. So it is.
What
it's
strategies have you employed to cope with this crisis?
We've gone and begged to the regulators, and we're pleading with Congress maybe to help us out because we're not going to see a recovery, especially from a small business, because they rely on credit, especially from the banks around the country.
Thank you. Mr. Graves.